Hello everyone, welcome to the deep dive. It's me, Chris Pajak, and that man there is Josh Williams. We are here to discuss the gift and the curse of Harvey Elliott. More just the gift though, Josh? This is your show this week, mate. Harvey Elliott, outstanding at the weekend against Tottenham. An absolute banger of a goal. Klopp even said afterwards in his post-match presser, didn't he? Didn't realise how good it was until I watched it back. He didn't have much space there, did he? He did not have much space, and when he hit it, you knew it was in. And it's what we've been begging Mo Salah to do from that angle, by the way, all season long, haven't we? But what was really interesting, and I mentioned this on the podcast yesterday, he actually had 3 GCAs, goal creating actions, yesterday.
Oh yeah.
Because he had a take on before his shot, he had the tackle on, was it Emerson Royale, and he was given the pass for the assist. So there was his 3 goal creating actions in the Tottenham game, which is pretty cool. Yeah,
he was really good, mate. You know, that's why he got man of the match, really. I think he won the ball in the final third 3 times as well, and every one resulted in a shot. Yeah. One of them was a goal. But yeah, I think I watched the game with the crowd, and because it was relatively meaningless, each goal went in. Everyone was like, "Yay!" You know.
No pints getting thrown in the air.
No, not on that. But when Elliott scored, everyone was like, you know, there was actual reaction at that point because everyone was kind of like taken back by the finish. And to be fair, that doesn't go in. I'm not sure this show is about Elliott. You know, sometimes you just the narratives just come into play. But I think his general performance aside from the goal was really good as well. You know, I think he was probably Liverpool's best player in the day, and out of everyone in the Klopp's last few games, before he hands the reins over to probably Arne Slot, I think Elliott's the one who he seems to want to give a chance to. Yeah,
which is good. Yeah. He's deserved it, hasn't he? I mean, the start of last season when he played almost every minute of every game, and then, you know, the middle of this season where he's going 120-90, 120-90 for different games and cup finals and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And then now we see him, but we saw him, I think, cover really well for Mo Salah on the right-hand side during AFCON at times. But where he really shines is obviously, where he really shone, on Sunday, was that position there in that number 8. And it was his ability to link up with Trent and with Mo Salah for me. It was that sort of being able to do wherever, and you know, he's allowed to go in there or he's allowed to go around the outside. I think for the goal itself, obviously Emerson Royale has the ball there, and Salah goes down there and he just flies from nowhere to whip the ball in. Then it's a great ball into Gakpo. I think Gakpo did incredibly to turn that ball in and stuff. But yeah, just a really solid performance from Harvey Elliott, and a well-deserved man of the match, to be fair to him. So obviously gets a goal, gets the assist. As you mentioned, this high pressure wins and stuff.
Do you think he's finally put to bed the whole notion that he's not a midfielder? Do you reckon that's binned? Because a lot of people were like, he's a forward, and now I think more people now seem to be saying, yeah, he's an 8.
I think so. I think that's a fair thing. I think he's a 10 personally, but he can do the 8 thing. Now, what was interesting for me over probably the last game, certainly, I'm just going to double check this here. What I found quite interesting, I'll just get the lineup up. Endo, McAllister, Elliott. Those 3 players do not feel like a Klopp midfield to me. Do you know why it doesn't feel like a Klopp midfield to me?
Legs.
Height,
yeah. Physicality then.
Yeah.
Overall.
Is that just, go on, fuck it, go ahead. Because he's always liked height, but those 3 lads are short asses, and Tottenham are big.
Yeah, I don't know, actually. I don't know. I mean, they're not particularly quick or anything like that across the ground, so it is different.
It's a very different Klopp midfield, that, wasn't it? And yet it worked better than what we've seen in recent weeks.
Yeah, it did work, to be fair. And I think there was an element of like McAllister staying a little bit like that rather than getting fully up, and then Elliott being a bit of a 10. So at times I think it did look a little bit like a 4-2-3-1, accidentally almost. But yeah, you're right. It's not. I think that's one of the doubts maybe surrounding Elliott, that he's not a physical monster. You know, I think he can run forever. Don't get me wrong, but he's not tall, so he's not going to give you an edge from set pieces and like that, or aerially or anything. And I think once the ball goes beyond him on the defensive side, he's finished. He's bypassed. He's not getting back behind the ball. His recovery pace isn't good enough. So they're the subtle doubts, but and that's why, you know, things like that have just popped up in your head, where you're looking at the midfield and thinking, you know, we're going to get bullied in there potentially.
And that's it, isn't it? I mean, I remember you saying to me a long time ago on Deep Dive about Martin Ødegaard being almost the blueprint for Harvey Elliott. It still rings true with me, that, like.
Yeah, I still think it. I wrote it this week, actually, for my Substack piece. Because if you think of Ødegaard's weaknesses, Ødegaard's strengths, they're very similar to Elliott's. Even the fact that Ødegaard was a teenage superstar and he was getting courted at the age of 15, 16 by the world's biggest clubs. Elliott wasn't quite that, but at 16, he was making his Premier League debut as a kid, looking perfectly at home. Liverpool were trying to poach him and things like that, really interested in him. Ended up paying for him, I think, a bit of compensation and that. So they've came through similarly there in terms of like their age being... But usually when that happens, it happens because, say, for example, when Gravenberch came through at Ajax at the age of 16, it was because he was massive and he was physically capable. If you look at Kwanzaa again, physically capable. Elliott came through like Ødegaard as a teenager, really young. But he's came through not because he can physically compete, but just because he's good enough in his mind and that, and technique, left-footed even, both left-footed. Both playing as a right-sided number 8. There's just a lot of similarities in there, I think, and Ødegaard has really got the most out of his skill set since he's gone to Arsenal, and he's 4 years older, crucially. So I think Elliott could be along those lines in 4 years' time, basically.
It's mad, that, isn't it, when you consider it, really. It's absolutely insane. So I'm just trying to compare Martin Ødegaard to him now. I'm just going to find that there. So if I get Harvey Elliott up here, there you go. Here's a lovely little graphic from fbref.com on my screen right now, Josh, and you can see here, red is Harvey Elliott, blue is Martin Ødegaard. We seem to be having a little bit of a struggle with getting that up, so I'm going to try again here. Is that it?
Stuck on the Carvalho one.
Carvalho one. Okay, let's change it to that. Have we got it now? Okay, sorry about that. Red, Harvey Elliott. Blue, Martin Ødegaard. Shot creating actions, there or thereabouts. Non-penalty, XG plus successive assisted goals, there or thereabouts. Assists, Harvey Elliott's doing better. Shots total, better. Non-penalty XG minus penalty XG, slightly worse. Non-penalty goals, slightly worse. Blocks, 10 times better, maybe more. Progressive passes received, great. Touches, great. Successful take-ons, not quite there. Carries are better, though. Passes are there or thereabouts. Pass completion, similar. And passes attempted, similar. If that doesn't highlight the fact that they're similar players, I don't think anything else will. That's
just output, output-wise, they're quite clearly contributing similar things. And then profile-wise as well, when you look at the players, as I said, they're both quite slight. Neither of them are particularly tall. They both favour the left foot. They're both not particularly strong in the air, for example. Really smart, good technically in tight spaces. So there's a lot of similarities there. Ødegaard's like captain of Arteta's Arsenal now, and he seems to be one of the few that he, well, I mean, he doesn't rotate a lot anyway, but I think Saliba and Rice are the only two players for Arsenal who've played more minutes in the Premier League this season, so he's a really important player for Arsenal. They could win the league with him as a main piece of their team, and that's despite him not being that physical, not being that tall, not being that fast. He's just really good at everything else.
Can I ask a question? I wasn't going to ask this, but you sparked something there. Can Ødegaard play so well for Arsenal because of the lad behind him?
Yeah, potentially. Last season he did well with Thomas Partey there. Rice is obviously better, but both of them are similar in terms of being sixers that can cover a lot of ground. So yeah, there's probably an element of that in there, but I do think Ødegaard, if you look at Ødegaard press, he's so clever. Yeah. He reminds me of Thomas Muller. When Thomas Muller's pressing, he just gets it, mate. He just knows exactly where to be, starts instructing players to go where and all that. But he doesn't look like, a Mascherano or something who's going to or like a Gattuso or someone like that, but he's fully willing to apply himself defensively just as much as he is on the ball as well. And I think Elliott's similar.
Yeah, okay. The next question then, I suppose. He was our youngest player on the pitch against Tottenham Hotspur because he's about 50 days younger than Joe Kwanzaa.
Yeah.
That's a bit mad. for a start. But at 17 years old, Josh, you wanted to highlight something.
Yeah, well, what I wanted to highlight, again, this is in my Substack from earlier this week, but what he's doing now for Liverpool, he's been doing for a number of years now. So this is Harvey Elliott when he was on loan at Blackburn. So this is the Championship. Ignore the Premier League thing at the top there, that's wrong, I should say Championship. But it's every player with 900 minutes in the Championship season. I think this was 2020 to 2021.
So we can ignore the 23-24 as well?
Yes, ignore that as well. And it's only midfielders and it's only forwards. And this is where he ranks for progressive passes per 90 and passes into the penalty box per 90. So the reason both of those matter, you know, it's a given really, but he's getting you basically into really valuable areas of the pitch where you want to be. And again, mate, right there, he's 17 there, 17 years old, and he's pretty much the best in the league at doing it with Emi Buendia.
I can see Elise there as well.
Yeah, well, I highlighted Elise specifically because Elise there was a year older than him, playing for Reading, who I think placed 8 places higher in the Championship than Blackburn, where Elliott played. So he wasn't playing for an especially dominant team. He was 17, Championship's tough, and that's where he ranks compared to his peers for basically getting you into the business areas, you know. So, and then if we want to move on to the next viz, for the same numbers, that's where he places this season, Premier League terms. You can see Ødegaard, interestingly, just climbing above him. But you've got Bruno Fernandes around him, Pascal Gross, James Maddison.
Alex McAllister's there.
Yeah. And just to the left, I think, of McAllister, I think is Szoboszlai as well. So, but one of the reasons I wanted to highlight this is...
Some fella pissed you off.
Yeah. Exactly that. So when I was watching the game with the crowd, there was this fella next to me, and he kept having a go at Elliott for passing backwards. Says he always does it, and I couldn't help hearing him. And I felt like turning around. I felt like turning around with a scatter plot and going, "You're wrong, mate. What are you on about?"
Imagine. I've got receipts, lad.
Yeah, full receipts, mate. Yeah, because it's not true. That's one of them where like you might think that.
Was he with his girlfriend or wife?
No, he was with his mate.
Oh well.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate football fans mansplaining.
I get a
to their
DM now
girlfriend.
often. I get a DM from him, you know, saying like, you know, but
yeah. Where's the scatter plot for passing backwards?
Yeah,
how high does he rank on that one, Josh?
Yeah, I know. But that's evidence there though that he's moving the ball forward. Basically, he's getting you towards the penalty box, towards the final third, and he's good at doing it because the players he's ranking around are similar in that sense. And yeah, this narrative that Elliott isn't particularly bold, because it's not the first time I've heard it. You know, he's not bold on the ball. You know, he's not brave or anything like that.
Do you know what people are responding to there, mate? Is crowded friggin'
when he decides
that pass.
Yeah.
That's what people are talking about. That one when it's completely crowded and they knock it there, because it does everyone's head in that. And it's like, where you go, shoot! And they go, oh no, we're going to get into a better position. And then they go round there and score.
Yeah.
But it's that pass that pisses people off.
Yeah. But that is called, there's kind of a name for that, because Curtis Jones is really good at doing that on the opposite side. That's just probing.
It's recycling, isn't it? And probing, yeah.
That's just But Jack Grealish is really good at it. Just probing in the final third, playing with the opposition, pulling them, and then using the gap that opens up when it does open up. And by the way, that shoot stuff, Elliott shoots a fair bit. We saw his goal.
Yeah.
You know, he switches to play a lot. So in terms of what he offers on the ball, Elliott, he's by no means at all like a dead weight or, you know, a negative or something like that. He tries things, and he tries things in the right moment as well. Still getting to grips with his consistency because he's still very young, but then that narrative that he doesn't pass forwards is nonsense, really. And I think it's why Klopp uses him as a sub so often, because he's, if you want to make an impact as a player coming on to maybe recover a 1-goal deficit or something like that, to do that you need to get into the box, and to get into the box you need players who are going to find the box, and Elliott proves that for Liverpool every season. and was doing it for Blackburn at 17, mate. He's just got a gift of finding the box with passes.
Absolutely.
Not everyone has.
We move on then. Arne Slot, potentially Liverpool's next head coach. We'll discuss 4-3-3 first. Is he playing in the 8 in a 4-3-3? Could you see him out wide? Yeah,
I think he definitely can play as an 8, yeah. I think for me, yeah, he's probably an 8 in a 4-3-3. I don't especially like him out here, if I'm honest. Virgil wants to try the crossfield diagonals all the time. It doesn't work as well when you've got Elliott here. The fullback can push up. You know, he can get tight to him, he can push him back. And you've got that kind of like... I know Nunes doesn't do it as much, but anytime the striker drops deeper, you ideally want that. And Elliott's just never really going to give you that. So, I think he's an 8 for me. The only reason he ever plays out here, I think, is because he's left-footed. And he can kind of replace that without Salah on the pitch. But other than that, I don't think he'd play up there.
Playing devil's advocate, Slot plays that winger as a creator, who quite often ends up here. But
in a 4-3-3?
In a 4-2-3-1 he does, but I think it's the same as 4-3-3, to be honest with you. But what I will say is he relies on them dribbling past players, and I don't think that's Elliott's strong point either.
No, neither do I. I don't think he's a 1v1 specialist.
So in the 4-2-3-1 then, is it as simple as he plays the 10?
No, I think it's one or the other, really. I think it's probably still... You still want an element of 1v1 out here. You know, you still want goals. And if a player is... Say if you clog the centre and you attract everyone over there and you get that kind of situation where the ball's coming in here, you want someone who can just dance around them, basically, even in a 4-2-3-1. So it probably is a case of 10 is best for Elliott. But if it was that, I think that's also better for him in this system because there's less of an emphasis on this player to get goals.
Yeah.
Compared to previous seasons, if you're playing with that system, then there is more of an emphasis on that fella to get goals. With an extra 10, a little bit less so. But it's going to be interesting to see what he does there.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think of the next man? You know, Slot. Is he good enough that you can build a side around him?
Not yet, no. But the vision I have of him is kind of like Grealish at Villa, or Ødegaard at Arsenal, or Mount at Chelsea at his best. You know, that kind of like needle player who's just, even like an element, I'm giving him big praise here, but even like an element of David Silva at City, where he's just popping up in spaces, real authority on the ball, dead confidence. No one wants to get tight because he'll do them. Sees the spaces, scores the odd goal from around the day or something like that. That's the kind of player that I picture, but I can't put a number on when it's going to happen. Okay, it could be next season, could be the season after, but I'm pretty confident it will come, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think just going back to it then, obviously, to sort of speak about it one more time. Let's say if 10's his favoured position here, is he good enough to beat out, let's say, for argument's sake, Alexa McAllister, Dom Szoboszlai, Kurt Jones, Ryan Gravenberch, Cody Gakpo? All can play, not all ideally suited, but all can play there. And does he reach the level that you think he can reach if he's not getting games?
I think it will keep going the way it's currently going, where he's playing enough minutes to stay happy, but still with that kind of carrot dangling where he's like, I'm not starting every single week. Those players you've just listed, I don't think he's good enough yet to oust them. But I think he will get minutes in like domestic cups and things like that, but it's whether he wants that. I mean, what's your perspective on it?
He does feel like a player who, although a massive Liverpool fan, wants to play a lot of football. I think he'll bide his time for a year or two.
Again, though, we need to stress, he's 21.
I know.
There's no rush, honestly, there isn't. Odegaard's doing it now.
He's 25.
Yeah, when Ødegaard was 21, was he on loan at Sociedad? He was on loan somewhere.
I don't know.
He had a few loans from Real Madrid. So at the age of 21, Ødegaard was, Sociedad at 20, Vitesse at 19. Then Arsenal on loan, and then he signs permanently for Arsenal at the age of about 22, I think, 23. So yeah, I think he can be patient, and he has got some serious competition if you look at those players.
And that's why I asked the question of, do you build a side around him? Do you let him come to fruition?
I don't think you do, but I think eventually he will be. I think he'll have the level of authority on the pitch for the team that Coutinho had before he left. You know, where everyone was just like, give him the ball, yeah, and he'll just sort of, which isn't necessarily a good thing, by the way. But I see him becoming that, where he's really like chest out. You know, I'll do it. I'm dead confident and all that stuff. I think he's got that in his locker, but not yet. But that's normal, by the way. I think the weird thing. But the weird thing is, it feels like he's been around for ages, though.
Yeah, because he has.
But that's what I mean. People are like, well, he hasn't stepped up yet. He's 21, mate. He's been around for ages, but that's because he was playing a lot when he was a kid, which is not particularly normal, really. So I just think he's a really good player to have around the squad, like the first 15 players or something like that. And I think Slot will look at him and see a really interesting player, albeit one with limitations that he can't really influence, because he can't just add 2 foot to his height, can he? And he can't really get...
But if you get these positions right, you can compensate for that.
Yeah, yeah, which we haven't got yet at the minute, have we? We haven't got like that killer, like a Rice or something like that. Fabinho or Rodri, we haven't got any of them.
Okay, well, there you go. The blueprint for Harvey Elliott is keep doing what you're doing for the next year or so, and we've got confidence that you will be the guy. Thank you very much for joining us. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to Redmen Plus. We've done another show. We looked at Carvalho, we looked at Morton, we looked at Seth Vandenberg, their chances of getting into the Liverpool squad for next season. That's available on redmenplus.com now. There is a code to use for 50% off your yearly subscription. It is SLOT, S-L-O-T, not S-L-U-T. It's S-L-O-T. Thank you very much. We'll see you next time. Ta-ra.
Thank you so very, very much for checking out the video. If you enjoyed it, drop a like. The season is now well underway. If you need extra Redmen content, be it podcasts, videos, documentaries, interviews, and general shows, fill your boots on redmenplus.com today.